spotlights made them legends. Racism, homophobia, and respectability politics kept parts of them in the dark. Tonight on Silent Fame, we open the vault on 13 Black icons who carried secret lives. Love tucked between tour dates, identities coded in lyrics, partnerships hidden behind publicists' advice, and church expectations. From ballroom stages to civil rights war rooms, these stories hold both ache and pride. Letters, interviews, and receipts that history tried to misfile. Stay to the end for the chapter that almost vanished twice, and the quiet legal move that turned love into protection. As you watch, drop your city, comment the number that shook you most, and subscribe plus ring the bell so these names never fade again. 1. Sammy Davis Jr. Under a spotlight, Sammy Davis Jr. dazzled as a Rat Pack superstar, but behind closed doors, he wrestled with a secret life. He reveled in music, dancing, and laughter, yet carried a hidden truth. Even his closest friends sensed something private in him. In 2013, his friend Paul Anka wrote that Davis was bisexual, saying, "He just enjoyed life, curiosity about everything." This clashes with Hollywood's image of him singing love songs to women while loving men in silence. He navigated relationships carefully, even marrying actress Mae Britt, to keep the facade. When he died in 1990, none of this was ever proclaimed. His authentic self remained a whispered mystery. Today, seeing Sammy's life in full color is bittersweet. He blazed a trail of showmanship while burying a part of himself. His story reminds us how society once pushed people into shadows and how courageous it is to live fully in light. What do you think Sammy would say now if he could tell his story? If this tale surprised you, share your thoughts below and subscribe for more hidden histories. 2. Luther Vandross. Luther Vandross's voice was smooth velvet, but his life held an unspoken truth. On stage, he sang about love and heartbreak, yet he guarded a love he could not publicly name. To the world, he was private and polite. With friends, he shared smiles, but kept silent about who made his heart truly race. Patti LaBelle once said Luther did not want to upset his devoted fans or his family by coming out. Even within the glitz of fame, no flamboyant confession ever escaped his lips. Only after his passing did the world piece together the hidden life of this beloved singer. An open secret in the industry, Luther was rumored to have longed for a boyfriend but felt he could never reveal it publicly. His music, however, spoke of genuine longing and tenderness, giving strength to fans still grappling with love and identity. To this day, LGBTQ+ admirers take pride in him and see his songs as anthems of quiet courage. How would Luther feel if he knew we celebrate him openly now? Join the conversation below, and if you want more stories of hidden icons, hit subscribe. 3. Ethel Waters. Ethel Waters was a trailblazer born in the 1890s, but even she had mysteries. On stage and screen, she broke barriers, but off stage, she quietly loved in ways she never advertised. Early in her career, she shared a deep partnership with dancer Ethel Williams. They performed and lived together for nearly a decade. Their act was more than dance steps. They even winked at gay audiences by billing themselves as partners, a subtle nod to others living in secret. Waters married men 3 times, but those marriages were unhappy. Her greatest love was with Williams, who eventually left to marry a man. As Ethel turned to the church in later years, she never spoke of those hidden romances. She lived the rest of her life singing hymns, a superstar whose heart had once craved a forbidden kind of tenderness. Today, fans quietly honor her for living bravely. Ethel's dazzling career and private struggles remind us, even legends carried private stories. Could Ethel have ever dreamed we'd celebrate her whole story? Tell us what you think below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more unveiled secrets. 4. Bayard Rustin. Bayard Rustin was a giant of civil rights who also carried a secret few publicly acknowledged. He organized the 1963 March on Washington and mentored Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Yet he kept one part of himself hidden. Rustin was gay and proud, but he hid it from the public eye for fear of prejudice. Fellow activists worried his sexuality could be used against the movement, so Rustin agreed to keep quiet in the spotlight. Still, he never stopped fighting all injustice. He pushed for equality on every front, for Black Americans and for LGBTQ+ people, believing if you fought for justice, it had to be for everyone. In private, Rustin and his partner Walter Nagel built a life together. In 1982, Bayard even legally adopted Walter to protect their relationship under the law. He died in 1987 without having publicly claimed his place as a gay man, but later generations restored his full story. We now know Rustin marched hand in hand with Dr. King as an openly gay man, one of the movement's chief architects. His courage in fighting bigotry, even while hiding his own truth, inspires us to demand the freedom to live openly today. Which part of Bayard Rustin's legacy surprises you most? Drop a comment below and subscribe for more stories that bring hidden heroes into the light. 5. Donny Hathaway. In smoky jazz clubs and concert halls, Donny Hathaway's voice soared like a dove, yet his heart was heavy. He used music to reach people, pouring love into every note, but he gave so much of himself to others that few saw the man inside. Even as a soothing tenor blessed listeners, Donny wrestled with mental illness and, some say, with keeping his true self hidden. He married singer Eulalia in 1970, but the pressures of fame and personal demons led to tragedy. He died in 1979 from an apparent suicide, leaving unanswered questions about the private anguish his music cloaked. Even now, when we hear songs like his 1973 hymn, "Someday We'll All Be Free," we feel the desperate hope he sang of. In interviews, Donny rarely discussed his personal life, focusing instead on the truth in his music. Listen to his duets with Roberta Flack or his tender ballads, and you hear raw emotion, as if his songs spoke truths he couldn't express in words. His friends remember a man of depth who quietly gave voice to pain and love. Did learning about Donny's hidden struggles change how you hear his music? Let us know, and hit subscribe to explore more hidden chapters of history. 6. Alvin Ailey. The dance floor was Alvin Ailey's true home, where he told stories without words. Born in Texas in 1931, he became a groundbreaking choreographer, dedicating his life to honoring Black culture through movement. Yet offstage, he was guarded. He never publicly discussed his personal life. Alvin lived during the AIDS crisis, but stayed silent about how it affected him. He even asked doctors to list his cause of death as a vague blood disease in 1989, rather than AIDS, to avoid stigma. Inside, he poured all his feelings into movement. His most famous ballet, Revelations, premiered in 1960 and was based on his blood memories of church hymns, spirituals, and blues. Each routine was like a confession of the soul. Alvin's brilliance earned him a Kennedy Center honor, but he felt he had to live privately. Even in death, he sheltered the truth to protect loved ones. His story reminds us how creativity can bloom even when one must stay in the shadows. What do you think Alvin's legacy tells us about courage and creativity? Drop a comment, and be sure to subscribe as we uncover more untold stories. 7. Paul Winfield. Paul Winfield's face was familiar to Hollywood audiences. The first Black man nominated for an Oscar for Sounder, yet only a few knew the whole story. Behind the dignified image, Paul shared a decades-long love with his partner, Charles Gillen Jr., an architect by profession. They loved and cared for each other quietly, even buying a home together, while keeping their romance from public scrutiny. Hollywood in the 1970s and 80s was ruthless about anything seen as other. Paul once lived with co-star Cicely Tyson after Sounder, letting people think they were lovers for appearances. In reality, his heart was with Charles. When Charles died of cancer in 2002, it crushed Paul. And 2 years later, Paul himself died of a heart attack. Today, they lie in neighboring graves at Forest Lawn, a silent testament to a love concealed from cameras. Paul's wife, co-stars, and fans never knew his full truth in life, but in honoring him, we celebrate that truth now. He built a legacy as a gifted actor and a devoted partner, showing the quiet strength of hidden love. Does this hidden love story change the way you see Paul's performances? Comment with your thoughts and subscribe to join our journey through history's untold tales. 8. Richard Bruce Nugent. In the 1920s Harlem Renaissance, Richard Bruce Nugent painted a vivid portrait on canvas and in words, openly celebrating who he was. A writer and artist, Nugent defied convention. He was openly gay among his friends and famous for bold stories like Smoke, Lilies, and Jade, one of the first by a Black author to candidly depict same-sex love. This was at a time when most Blacks kept such feelings unspoken. Richard dressed flamboyantly, partied in Greenwich Village, and trusted his instincts where many others kept silent. Though he slipped into relative obscurity later, Nugent's mark on history is clear. He was one of the only openly gay Black writers of the era, living his truth amid social taboos. He showed a pride and artistry that few dared. Today we honor his bold creativity and bravery, celebrating how he poured his soul into art so full of daring love. His life reminds us that showing who you truly are can inspire others to find their voice. How does Richard Nugent's fearless creativity inspire you? Let us know below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of hidden heroes. 9. James Baldwin. James Baldwin is legendary as a writer who spoke honestly about race, but he also wrote boldly about love between men. In novels and essays, Baldwin laid bare the soul of America, and sometimes the soul of a man. His 1956 novel, Giovanni's Room, was groundbreaking. It centered on a young man torn between a girlfriend and a lover in Paris. Baldwin once said he wrote it because not writing it would have been dishonest. Through his characters, he depicted love and pain with no apologies. Baldwin never labeled himself in public, but he never shied away from truth in his art. He showed the world that love is complex, and that being different is not a flaw. His life remained private, but his words reverberate loudly today. We now recognize Baldwin as a trailblazer who broke the silence of his time, giving courage to others to live openly. What do you think Baldwin's story tells us about truth in art? Share your view below and hit subscribe if you're moved by these hidden histories. 10. Little Richard. Little Richard's voice was thunder, his swagger electric, but for years he clashed with a private truth. Born Richard Penniman in the 1930s, he burst onto the music scene with Tutti Frutti and Crazy Makeup, revolutionizing rock and roll. He often flashed a grin and a wink, hinting at rebellion beyond race. Yet Richard struggled with his identity privately for decades. As he himself eventually admitted, he had always been attracted to men, a fact he proudly told Penthouse in 1995. However, Richard's devout faith sometimes pulled him back toward the pulpit, causing conflicts he aired publicly and later retracted. He famously flipped between professing, "I've been gay all my life," and denouncing unnatural behavior, reflecting a battle inside. No one else imposed that shame, he did it himself. By the end of his life, he embraced a freeing view of love, calling himself omnisexual. His bold energy inspired LGBTQ+ communities. He showed how powerful it is to be fearless on stage when you've been hidden in shadows. Which side of Little Richard's secret do you think changed him more, the faith or the freedom? Tell us your thoughts and subscribe for more revelations in music history. What we call secrets were often armor, ways to work, to love, to survive. Sammy's coded glamour, Luther's velvet longing, Ethel's double life, Bayard's strategic silence, Alvin's choreography as confession. Each reminds us that visibility isn't a trend, it's a lifeline. Which moment hit hardest? The hidden partnerships, the adoption that stood in for marriage, the faith versus freedom tug of war, or the art that said out loud what the world wouldn't? Comment the number, share this with someone who needs proof that remembrance is resistance, and subscribe to Silent Fame for the chapter's textbook skip. Next up, the receipts behind the comebacks, and how pride finally stepped into the light. Stay loud, stay kind, stay proud.